and welcome to Better Utah Broadcast. My name is Katie Matheson. I'm the Communications Director here at Alliance for a Better Utah. Today, as always, we have Lauren Simpson, our Policy Director, and Chase Thomas, our Executive Director / tech person, who is coming over to sit down now. Welcome.
Hi.
And welcome 2019. This is our first broadcast of 2019, so it's very exciting. New year, new you, new Better Utah Broadcast. So, let's start with last night's Oval Office address. What do we think about last night's Oval Office address? Chase, I know you had opinions.
Yeah, if you follow our... Oh, hello. I should turn off the sound on this.
So.
Well, it's working.
Yes, it is. It was boring. I don't know. If you guys follow our Twitter account, that's mainly me. So you can get most of my thoughts on stuff by following us at Better Utah on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, underwhelming, boring. He seemed completely insincere with everything he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, what about you, Lauren?
I did not watch it because I didn't want to give Trump the ratings unless it was necessary.
Wise. You probably had a more entertaining night than the rest of us who watched it. I thought it was boring. I thought it was useless. I don't know why they did it. Rumor is that, there's nothing new. There was nothing new from Trump, and frankly, there was nothing new from Schumer or Pelosi either. By the way, can we just say that Chuck Schumer was not doing anybody any favors by sitting there looking like a villain from a Batman movie?
They were standing way too close together.
Yeah. And Schumer's, one of his eyes was slightly more closed than the other one, and he had this very serious expression on his face. I mean, it's a serious topic, but I don't know, man. He looked like a villain from a Batman movie. It was pretty bad. Although I think that if we're going to give an award for most best statements in general, I would say Schumer said the most effective stuff. He said something about we're not going to create legislation, and we're not running our government, at the whims of a temper tantrum, which is effectively what this is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that was really great. And then he said something about, America will be known for the Statue of Liberty. We're not going to be, we're not going to think about America in terms of a giant 30-foot concrete wall at our southern border. So I thought in the whole that was great, but that's a Twitter take. So I thought it was a little bit of a waste of time, and I was listening to the New York Times podcast, The Daily, this morning, and that was basically what they said as well, which was that it was just kind of, the whole thing interfered in Americans' lives, took up 9, however many minutes of their lives to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It didn't seem like something that was the gravity of his first Oval Office address.
Mm-hmm.
To where all the networks needed to be broadcasting it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's more entertaining to watch whenever he goes to a news conference rather than watching this speech.
Yeah, I think most of America was sitting there with popcorn in hand, really excited to watch him just totally shoot himself in the foot. We, of course...
But that, I think, is our problem with Trump, because I think the media is obsessed with him, and I think Democrats are obsessed with him, or progressives, or liberals, or whatever. If you don't like Trump, the best thing that you could do is not feed the beast and leave him alone, because...
Which is hilarious.
He's a cancer that feeds on attention. So just don't pay attention to him.
Well, if he's going to be doing it anyways, it might as well be entertaining.
We made a drinking game for it, so we are a part of the problem. But yeah, that was probably... There's some outlet that's calling it his big boy speech, and I think that's about right. It's his big boy speech that someone else wrote for him, and he was forced to read. And
Okay. In a mocking way.
Yeah, in a
well,
mocking
there were
way.
people giving him credit.
No.
What was his name? Santorum was on CNN afterwards, and he was like, I thought he did amazing. He was really feeling stepping into the office. I'm like, well, it's been 2 years. He should have been stepping into the office way before now, and reading off a teleprompter and not going on a rant and...
Mm-hmm. And frankly, had any other president in our recent history delivered a speech the way that was delivered, there would have been serious oh my gosh, first of all, they're so boring, they're uninspiring, and second of all, they accent really weird words when they speak. So on the whole, I thought it was just probably a lose for America in general.
Yeah. Especially when you go into the substance.
Right. Well, and there's another thing, was that this was an interesting speech in that it was usually Oval Office addresses are used to inspire and bring together the nation or inform them, post 9/11, say this is what happened, but we're taking care of it, and inspire people and help them feel comforted.
In actual crisis.
Right, in actual crisis. And instead, this was a manufactured crisis that was in a speech that was meant to scare people who aren't scared. in general, people in the United States do not favor this wall, and they are not scared. They don't think this is a new crisis that's happening, that this is not a humanitarian crisis. And so it's almost like Trump was pitching to the American people that you should be afraid, all these kinds of things, which was...
But that's also nothing new, because he's been trying to get people scared of like a made-up immigration crisis for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I would lean more... I don't know, I'd push back a little bit on saying it's... I don't know, it could have the potential or might be a humanitarian crisis. It's not a security crisis.
I think it definitely is a humanitarian crisis. But it's not a security crisis.
Yeah, and I think he was trying to focus more on that during his speech. Like, you didn't hear about the wall until halfway through. But even when he was talking about that, it didn't seem sincere. It seemed like he was just quoting things that people have told him rather than him actually knowing what's going on or caring. He just wants money for the wall, and so he's trying to find another way to do it.
Right. So before this speech yesterday, we asked our Facebook followers to weigh in and tell us how many lies, guess how many outright, pants on fire lies he would tell. And people guessed anywhere from 2 to 400, which is, I don't know how you could even get 400 words out of that. Well, I guess. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And so we used the Washington Post fact checker, and in terms of outright lies, it's kind of hard to tell. But we ended up going with 4, so it looked like he's just said 4 outright lies, which of course had to do with 20,000 children being brought over the border that are being abused by coyotes. There's a new crisis or a growing crisis, and then it's going to be paid for by NAFTA. And then the weird one that Democrats were the ones who wanted a steel slat, whatever.
Oh yeah, Democrats wanted a steel fence, so we're going to do that instead of the concrete wall.
And no Democrats have gone on record as saying that that's what they wanted. It's just very...
Even if it's a steel fence, we still consider it to be a wall.
Oh God, all right. So let's talk about how the Utah delegation is responding to this. We called out John Curtis recently for how he responded, and I mean, on the face of it, well, let's back up a little bit. Lauren, how has John Curtis responded to this shutdown?
So publicly, he's responded by making a big deal about rejecting his pay during the length of the shutdown in a show of solidarity with federal workers and contractors who were also not being paid during the shutdown. However, he had the opportunity to vote on a couple different bills to reopen the government, and he voted no on both of those. So it's a little hollow.
Yeah, coming from John Curtis.
Yeah.
So we called him out for it, and we said, that's great, that's lovely, but, deferring your pay, first of all, if you're worth $5 million, deferring your pay is not going to be felt as heavily as it is felt. We appreciate the sentiment, right? But ultimately, the best show would have been to vote for it.
Yeah, the people who are living paycheck to paycheck aren't going to be benefited by him deferring his pay.
Right.
Unless he's donated it directly to that family, which he's not. He's just saying, oh, I'm not going to get paid right now.
Right. And then who else is, so Mitt Romney is doing his typical, maybe not, this is bad, oh, I'm feeling really upset about this. Have we seen any action from him on this?
Not that I've seen.
And then Mike Lee is not deferring his pay, but is donating
making small donations each day of the shutdown
to
a charity that his office declined to elaborate on.
So
we don't know what's happening. Yeah.
Right, we don't know what's happening. Yeah. And then of course Ben McAdams, one of the 2 freshmen that we've sent recently to Washington, of course Mitt Romney being the second. Ben McAdams is deferring his pay, but he also voted to fund the government, right? So it feels a little bit more...
Yeah, he's going along the they're minority overall. He's going along with the Democratic talking point, saying that we need to be reopening the government and then having the discussion, not playing to Trump's hostage demands to open up the government.
Right. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that as we continue forward, but let's move on to the legislative session. We are, 2-3 weeks away? It's imminent.
It's imminent.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how we are organizing the legislative session. So Lauren, our policy director, we're going to be looking, there's thousands of bills, right? 1,000 plus bills?
1,000 plus bills. Last year, I think there were around 1,600 total bill files that were registered registered, and so not every bill file that's opened goes on to become a bill that's voted on. But for a 45-day session, Utah lawmakers really like to pack in as much as they can. And it's usually the lawmakers who are really big on small government will open like
a ton of bill files.
80 bill files. So
I'm a bill. Sorry.
All right. So how are we organizing the plethora of bills that are being filed? How have we organized it mentally, and how can we help our what?
Do you even know what a plethora is?
So how are we organizing this? And then tell us about #PropWatch.
Sure. So as a staff, we are going to be reading through every bill language that's filed. Well, as a staff, minus Katie.
As the staff who actually cares.
Yeah. So Chase and I will be reading through the text of every bill to look for anything that we might want to pay attention to flag important issues. And as we're thinking about our legislative scorecard that we produced last year and we'll be producing it again this year, we have bills broken down into 4 different categories. And those are broadly like economic justice, equality-based bills, good government type bills, and then sustainable future bills, which is like conservation, but also like infrastructure investment.
Cool.
So,
and so last year we put out a legislative scorecard, right, at the end of the session. We graded each of our legislators on it. Chase went without sleep for however many nights to do this. And so
I normally don't sleep.
let's go through. I want to name three of the grades. So do you remember who got the top grade last year?
Wasn't it Rebecca Chavez House?
Yeah, it was Chavez Hauk, and she got an A.
we are going to miss her so much.
No.
Yeah.
She's so great.
Yeah. So we graded her on all these different criteria, and she came out on top. Who got the lowest grade last year?
Mark Roberts?
I think it was Dan McKay.
I think. It was
I know they were
okay.
down at the bottom of those
Oh,
two.
Yeah.
If we could have given an F-, Dan McKay would have gotten an F-, and he was very proud of that F- from us. So.
And with him running the repeal of SB 54, I imagine he's going to be down there again.
Yes. And oh boy, that's going to be fun to watch. All right. And then for a surprising grade last year for me, you guys don't know what this one is, but Todd Weiler, he got a surprising grade. He was a B.
Yeah,
right?
he was up there, and so was Becky Edwards.
Yeah. So it's right around the B's and the C's where things start to get really fun because there are people who are higher than other people that you would expect. And of course, it's kind of part of it is based on the semantics of how the internal way that we grade these. But
yeah, like everyone's like, oh, well, of course Democrats are going to be getting A's. A lot of them got B's. Gene Davis, I think.
He scored
He
below
was lower
Todd
than
Weiler.
a lot.
Yeah, he's below a lot of Republicans.
Republicans.
So we just look at the bills, look at the issues, and score them that way, not based on party.
Yeah. Cool.
Although Todd Weiler might be ranked lower this year with the
His
Prop 4
anti-Prop 4.
shenanigans that we're expecting. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what comes up.
Yeah. And then let's talk quickly about PropWatch. Can you tell us about PropWatch?
PropWatch is on our ABU EdFund website. It's a timeline for people who are trying to stay up to date with everything that's happened on the propositions and, they got passed, then what happened next, then what are lawmakers talking about doing to them. It's just a timeline of everything that's happened so you can stay up to date. And we regularly update that, and we'll be updating it during the session. And you can also, we're using it as a hashtag too, so yeah, so look it up on Twitter, and you can
We're the
hear
only
all
ones
of
who have
our
ever used it.
hot takes. Maybe it'll catch on.
Cool. All right. So if you have, and also I'm going to add to that, it's not just the 3 initiatives that passed. It's also the proposition, the ballot initiative process itself, right? So we probably anticipate that there will be some adjustments or attempts to adjust the initiative process, right? Make it even harder for people to get initiatives on the ballot.
We don't like those pesky voters making laws.
Right,
Yeah.
which, by the way, is enshrined in our state constitution, so that's fun.
Yeah.
All right, so keep an eye out there, keep an eye on Twitter, keep an eye on our Facebook page, and of course our website. And then I want to get to 2 things real quick. We have an Escape the Inversion contest going on right now, so you can enter to win a 7-night stay.
When does that end?
Next Wednesday,
Okay.
January 16th.
One more week.
One more week to enter, and so it's a 7-night stay for you and a friend or a significant other. at Club de Soleil in Las Vegas. They have a lovely pool from what I can tell. So you can do, I personally would spend a lot of time napping and drinking in the pool, but I mean, you can do what you want, you do you. Go spend money at the slot machines if that's your thing. And you can find information on our Facebook page.
Do people get extra entries for sharing?
Yes, you do get extra, I think it's 2 extra entries. So like if you share it with somebody, then there's a special link or a special URL that you share, and then your name gets entered.
So share it with all your friends and family.
That's right. Yay! All right. And so we will be announcing the winner probably end of next week. And then, of course, if you have been impacted by the shutdown, send us your story and let us know if you're interested in talking with us about it. We would love to hear from you. We have an IRS office up in Ogden.
Yeah.
They're having a rally this week.
Mm-hmm. Is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow at noon at the federal building in Ogden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so there's over 4,000 Utahns who work there who are being impacted by that. And later tonight on our Facebook page, you'll see this Washington Post article that talks about small cities in America that are being impacted by the shutdown, and Ogden leads in that story. And it talks about, there are small businesses, local businesses, restaurants and stuff like that are now having to close half day because they don't have, their customers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and this week is going to be the first paycheck that federal employees will be missing because of the shutdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I mean, I think even if they reopened today, they still wouldn't get that paycheck in time.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, not cool.
Horrible.
Horrible, yeah. So our hearts are with those Utahns and all Americans who, of course, are experiencing that hardship right now. We're lucky that there's some wonderful, I know that there's a Catholic diocese up in Ogden is doing a food bank for them, but there are other...
Catholic Community Services.
Is providing food for those families. There's also, of course, worries about SNAP. It looks like SNAP benefits will go out early and they will extend through February, but then after February, they don't have really a plan for making sure that the 38 million Americans who are on SNAP.
Yeah, I feel like they're just making stuff up at this point just to make it sound better.
Yeah. Yeah, look, the federal government is shut down and we did this because we're throwing a tantrum, but we're going to make, we're just trying to fix
It's like all of a sudden the federal parks are up and open again, and I don't know where they're all of a sudden finding this money.
Right, yeah. So, anyway, send us a message if you have a story that you would like to share with us. Anything else from you guys? Nope. All right, here goes 2019. Thanks for being with us, guys. See you next week.
See ya.
Go turn up Instagram.